Have you ever found yourself replaying an argument from the past in your mind, wishing you had said something different? Or maybe you're constantly worrying about what might happen tomorrow, feeling overwhelmed by things that haven't even happened yet. What if you could free yourself from all that noise and truly live in this very moment? Imagine this. You're drinking a cup of tea, but instead of tasting it, your mind is wandering to a deadline at work or a mistake you made last week. The tea gets cold, the moment is gone, and you're left with a life filled with missed moments. How often do we live like this? The truth is, most people are so busy dwelling on the past or stressing about the future that they forget the only thing they truly have is the present moment. But how do we stop this endless cycle of overthinking? How do we make peace with the now? Here's a simple example. Think of a child playing in a park. They aren't worrying about what happened yesterday or what's for dinner tomorrow. They are completely absorbed in the joy of the moment. Can we, as adults, rediscover that same sense of presence? Welcome to Wisdom Woven, a channel dedicated to helping you unlock the timeless teachings of Buddhism and apply them to modern life. Today, we'll explore the transformative power of living in the present and how it can free your mind from the traps of the past and future. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribes. So please, if you find this video helpful, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. It means so much and helps us continue bringing you this wisdom. The present moment is all we truly have, yet it's the one thing we often neglect. Buddhism teaches us that life unfolds only in the now. The past is a memory, the future is an imagination, and the present is the only space where life truly happens. When we cling to the past, we carry unnecessary burdens. Regrets and grievances become chains that tie us to moments that are long gone. By learning to let go, we free ourselves to experience the beauty of what is happening right now. On the other hand, the future often traps us in a cycle of endless planning and anxiety. We try to control outcomes that are beyond our reach, only to lose our peace in the process. Buddhism invites us to trust the flow of life and focus on the actions we can take today. Mindfulness is the key to living in the present. It's not about doing something extraordinary, but about paying attention to ordinary moments. Washing your hands, feeling the water, noticing your breath. These small acts, when done with awareness, can bring you back to the now. Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the past or future. Instead, it means acknowledging them without letting them dominate your mind. It's about finding balance and peace in the here and now. By embracing the present, we open ourselves to joy, connection, and clarity. Life becomes richer and more meaningful when we truly live it as it unfolds. This is the essence of Buddhist wisdom, and it's a gift available to anyone willing to pause and embrace it. So, are you ready to step out of the chaos of your thoughts and into the serenity of the present moment? Let's take this journey together. Stay with us as we explore how to awaken to the now and live a life free of unnecessary distractions. Shedding the weight of the past. The mind is like a heavy backpack, filled with all sorts of memories, regrets, and unspoken words. Each day, we carry it around, unaware of how much weight we bear. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why am I holding on to all of this? What is the past really doing for you? Is it making you happy? Is it helping you move forward? The past is no longer here. It exists only in our minds, in the stories we tell ourselves. When we cling to it, we are like a bird that cannot fly because it holds on to a broken branch. The bird is not free. It cannot soar. It is stuck in a moment that no longer exists. This is what happens when we let the past control us. Look closely at your own life. How often do you find yourself thinking about something that happened yesterday, or a year ago, or even decades ago? Does it bring you peace? Does it bring you joy? Or does it stir up pain, frustration, or sorrow? Every time we replay an old story in our heads, we drag the past into the present, keeping us from experiencing the beauty of the moment. Buddhism teaches us the importance of letting go. It is not about forgetting the past or pretending it never happened. It is about freeing ourselves from its hold. The Buddha spoke of attachment as a source of suffering. When we are attached to our memories, we suffer. We relive our regrets, our mistakes, our losses, and we carry them with us like heavy stones in our heart. But what if, instead of holding on to the past, we simply allowed it to fade away? What if we accepted that the past has already passed and that there is nothing we can do to change it? By doing this, we open up space in our hearts for something new to grow. Letting go is not about forgetting. It is about accepting, about finding peace with what was, and then moving on. Letting go of the past means embracing impermanence. Everything in life is changing. Our bodies, our thoughts, our circumstances, they all change. The person you were yesterday is not the person you are today. The feelings you had last year may not be the same as the ones you have now. So why should your past define you? Why should it weigh you down? One of the key teachings of Buddhism is the practice of mindfulness. When we are truly present, we are not bound by the past. We are not living in the shadow of old regrets or old joys. We are simply here, right now. This moment, this breath, this feeling, this is what matters. The past has no power over us unless we give it that power. Think about a river. The water flows constantly, moving forward, never looking back. The river does not hold on to the rocks or debris that it passes. It lets them go, flowing around them, moving toward what lies ahead. We can learn from this. Just as the river flows forward, we too can let go of the past and move forward, one step at a time. This does not mean we forget the lessons of the past. The past can teach us wisdom, but it should not trap us in regret. It should not stop us from living fully in the present. When we look back, we should do so with understanding, not with anger or bitterness. We should appreciate the lessons, acknowledge the growth, and then let it go. Sometimes, the weight of the past is so heavy that it feels impossible to let go. We might feel that the things we did or did not do define us, that the mistakes we made will always be with us. But the truth is, you are not your past. You are not the things you did or didn't do. You are who you choose to be in this moment. You are the person who can choose to release the past and live in the now. Buddhism offers us a practice called metta, or loving kindness. This practice encourages us to show love and compassion, not only to others but to ourselves as well. If we can forgive ourselves for our past, we can release the burden of guilt, shame, and regret. Self-compassion is key in shedding the weight of the past. When we accept ourselves as we are, without judgment, we free ourselves to live in the present with a lighter heart. Another way to let go of the past is through the practice of meditation. In meditation, we learn to observe our thoughts without getting attached to them. When memories or old emotions arise, we simply notice them, acknowledge them, and let them pass. Like clouds in the sky, they come and go, but we do not have to hold on to them. Meditation teaches us to let the past float away like leaves on a stream, never to be held on to. Letting go is a process. It is not something that happens all at once. It takes time, patience, and practice. But every time we release a little bit of the past, we make more space for peace, joy, and presence. The more we let go, the more we find ourselves in the flow of life, where we can experience each moment as it is, without the burden of what has already passed. In Buddhism, there is a practice called the Eightfold Path, which guides us toward right living. One part of this path is right mindfulness, being aware of our thoughts, words, and actions in each moment. When we practice mindfulness, we learn to see the past for what it is, something that no longer has power over us. We learn to see it as part of our story, but not the whole story. We learn to step into the present, where life is happening right now. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the easier it becomes to release the past. We begin to see that we do not need to carry it with us anymore. It has already served its purpose. It has already taught us the lessons it was meant to teach. Now, we are free to move forward, to create new experiences, and to live with a heart that is lighter and more open. One of the most beautiful things about letting go of the past is that it allows us to be more present for others. When we are not weighed down by our own history, we can fully connect with the people in our lives. We can listen more deeply, love more fully, and engage more meaningfully. Our relationships become richer because we are not holding on to old grievances or wounds. It is also important to recognize that letting go of the past does not mean that we never remember it. We remember the past to learn from it, not to live in it. We remember it to understand how far we have come, not to punish ourselves for our mistakes. By releasing the emotional weight of the past, we free ourselves to remember it with wisdom, rather than pain. The practice of letting go is a powerful way to reclaim our peace. When we let go of the past, we stop allowing it to dictate our happiness. We stop allowing it to cloud our view of the present. We stop allowing it to hold us back from the life we want to live. If you find yourself struggling to release the past, remember that you are not alone. This is a journey that many people walk. It takes courage to let go. It takes strength to move forward. But every step you take toward letting go is a step toward greater freedom. Every time you release a little bit of the past, you make room for more joy, more peace, and more love in your life. So, what would it be like for you if you could shed the weight of the past? What would it feel like to be free from the burden of old regrets, old wounds, and old stories? What would your life look like if you embraced the present moment fully, without being held back by what was? This is the power of living in the now, and it is within your reach. Breaking free from the illusion of the future. The future is something we can't hold, yet we spend so much of our time trying to grasp it. Have you ever noticed how often your mind wanders to what might happen tomorrow, next week, or even years from now? We think about what we will do, what we want, and what we fear. But the truth is, the future is an illusion, and it never comes as we imagine it. It's always a step ahead, just out of reach. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell on the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." If we take this to heart, we begin to understand that the future is nothing but a projection created by our thoughts and fears. We imagine what could be, but it's just that, imagination. It's not real, not yet, and maybe never. Think about this. We spend hours, even days, planning for the future. We think about how we'll manage our finances, where we'll live, or what we'll do when we retire. These thoughts, although necessary to some extent, often create anxiety. The future feels uncertain, and we can't control it. So, we worry. And what do we gain from this worry? Nothing but a restless mind. Consider the story of a person who spends their entire life preparing for a trip, packing and planning every detail, but they never actually take the journey. Isn't that how we live? We prepare, we plan, we worry, but we don't live fully in the present moment. The true experience of life is like a journey. Each step must be lived, not just prepared for. The mind is a powerful thing, and it tends to run ahead of us. It's easy to get caught up in dreams of what might be, but in the Buddhist teachings, we learn that the future is not something to chase. It's something to let go of. The more we chase it, the further it slips away. And the more we hold on to it, the less we experience the beauty of the now. It's not that planning for the future is wrong. It's essential. But when the future consumes us, we miss the present. We forget that every moment is a gift, and it's happening right now. Today is the only day we truly own. The Buddhist path is not about ignoring the future or becoming careless, but about finding balance. We can plan and take action, but we should also learn to let go of our attachment to the outcome. The key to breaking free from the illusion of the future is mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches us to focus on what's happening right now, to be fully present with our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the future for what it is, a mystery that unfolds, step by step. We stop worrying about what will happen next and instead engage with what's happening now. In Buddhism, we are taught that the mind is like a monkey. It jumps from one thought to the next, always seeking something new. The future is just another branch that the monkey swings to. But if we can still the mind, if we can ground ourselves in the present moment, the monkey becomes calm, and so do we. Think of the future like a fog. We can't see clearly through it, but we can always see the present moment with clarity. If we focus too much on the fog, we lose sight of what's right in front of us. And if we keep reaching for what's ahead, we become disconnected from the life we're actually living. Let's take a simple example. You're sitting in a room, and outside the window, you see the sun setting. You can appreciate the colors of the sky, the peacefulness of the moment, but instead of fully experiencing this, your mind starts racing. You think, I wonder if it will rain tomorrow. Will I be prepared? I need to check the weather. What about next week? I have so much to do. In that moment, you've missed the sunset. You've missed the beauty of the present. This is what the Buddha means when he speaks about the future. It's not that we shouldn't think ahead, but that we should not let it steal our peace. The mind is always moving, like water flowing in a river. It's constantly changing, but the present moment is the stillness within the river. It's the place where everything comes together. How do we break free from this cycle of future thinking? The first step is awareness. Recognize when your mind has drifted to the future. Notice when your thoughts are filled with worry, anticipation, or fear. Don't judge yourself for it. Simply acknowledge it and gently bring your focus back to the present. Another practice is to pause throughout the day. Take a deep breath. Feel the air entering your lungs. Notice the sounds around you, the sensations in your body, the sights before your eyes. In that brief moment, you are fully alive in the now. This simple practice can shift your attention away from the future and anchor you in the present. Living in the present also means accepting the uncertainty of the future. The more we try to control what's coming, the more we resist what is. Acceptance is key. The future will unfold as it is meant to. By accepting that, we free ourselves from the grip of anxiety. The Buddha teaches us to cultivate equanimity, peace, regardless of the circumstances. This is the essence of breaking free from the illusion of the future. Many of us have heard the phrase, "The only constant is change." This is the nature of life. Things shift, evolve, and transform. The future is always moving, always shifting. But when we are present, we learn to move with it, not against it. We embrace change rather than fear it. We stop clinging to an idea of how things should be and start accepting how they are. It's like trying to catch the wind. We can chase it, run after it, but we can never catch it. The wind is free, moving wherever it pleases. Just like the future, instead of chasing after it, we can stand still, feel the wind, and enjoy it for what it is. The same goes for the future. Instead of chasing it, we can live fully in the present and allow the future to come when it's time. By breaking free from the illusion of the future, we step into a life of peace. We stop living in the land of what if and start living in the land of what is. This is where true freedom lies, in the present. So, when your mind starts to race with thoughts of what might come, remember this. The future is an illusion, and the present is all you truly have. Embrace it, savor it, live it, and in doing so, you will find the peace and clarity you've been searching for all along. Mindfulness, the heart of present living. In the stillness of the morning, as the sun begins to rise, there is a moment of silence before the world stirs. This moment, so simple and pure, holds the essence of mindfulness. It is the art of being fully aware, of noticing life as it happens, without judgment, without distraction. Mindfulness is the heart of living in the present. It is about paying attention to what is happening right now, with a clear mind and an open heart. It is the practice of seeing things as they are, without the filter of our past experiences or the worry of what is to come. In every action, there is an opportunity to practice mindfulness. When you walk, do you notice the feeling of your feet on the ground? When you eat, do you taste the food, savoring every bite? Or are your thoughts elsewhere, lost in the noise of the world? Mindfulness invites you to step into each moment with full awareness, to experience life as it unfolds. The practice of mindfulness is not limited to meditation or quiet moments. It is a way of living, a way of being. It is about bringing your full attention to whatever you are doing, whether it is washing dishes, having a conversation, or simply sitting in silence. In this way, mindfulness transforms the mundane into the sacred. When we are mindful, we stop living on autopilot. We stop rushing through life, always thinking about what comes next. Instead, we are here, in this moment, fully present. We begin to see the beauty in the ordinary, in the small details that we often overlook. A bird's song, the rustle of leaves in the wind, the warmth of the sun on your skin. These simple experiences become rich and meaningful when we bring our full attention to them. It is important to remember that mindfulness is not about being perfect or never having distracting thoughts. It is about gently returning to the present moment whenever your mind wanders. Like a leaf drifting on a stream, your thoughts will come and go, but you do not have to follow them. You can simply observe them, let them pass, and return to the now. Through mindfulness, we learn to quiet the restless mind. The constant chatter that fills our heads begins to fade, and in its place, there is peace. In that space of stillness, we can connect with the deeper truths of life. We realize that we are not our thoughts. We are not our worries. We are the awareness that watches all of it. When we live mindfully, we become more aware of our emotions as well. Instead of reacting impulsively, we begin to notice what we are feeling in the moment. Are we anxious, angry, or sad? By observing our emotions without judgment, we create space between ourselves and our reactions. This space allows us to choose how we respond, rather than being controlled by our feelings. Mindfulness also helps us to see the impermanence of life. Everything, from our thoughts to our experiences, is constantly changing. When we hold on to something too tightly, whether it is a memory, a fear, or a desire, we cause ourselves suffering. But when we practice mindfulness, we learn to let go. We understand that everything is fleeting, and in this understanding, we find freedom. In Buddhism, mindfulness is often referred to as right mindfulness, one of the Eightfold Path's core principles. It is about living with awareness in every moment, seeing things as they are without clinging or pushing away. It is about cultivating an open and accepting mind, one that is free from attachments and distractions. To practice mindfulness, we begin with simple steps. Start by paying attention to your breath. Notice how it feels as it enters and leaves your body. Focus on the sensation of the air moving through your nostrils or the rise and fall of your chest. This simple practice grounds you in the present moment and helps you return to the now when your mind drifts away. As you become more aware of your breath, expand your mindfulness to other parts of your life. Notice the sensations in your body as you move. Feel the texture of objects you touch. Listen attentively when others speak, without planning your response while they are talking. Let go of judgment and simply observe. Mindfulness is not a destination but a practice. It is not something you achieve, but something you cultivate over time. Like a garden that needs regular tending, your mindfulness will grow stronger the more you practice. With patience, it becomes second nature. One of the most profound benefits of mindfulness is that it brings you closer to yourself. In our busy lives, it's easy to lose touch with who we really are. We become so caught up in our roles, our responsibilities, and our thoughts that we forget the simplicity of just being. Mindfulness reminds us of our true nature. It brings us back to the present moment, where we can experience life fully, without the distractions of the past or future. As you practice mindfulness, you will begin to notice that your life feels less chaotic. The stress and anxiety that once seemed overwhelming start to fade. You learn to handle challenges with greater calm because you are not reacting impulsively. Instead, you respond with clarity and wisdom. The beauty of mindfulness is that it can be practiced anywhere, anytime. Whether you are sitting in a quiet room or walking through a busy street, you can always return to the present moment. All it takes is a shift in your awareness. Mindfulness also teaches us to be kinder to ourselves. We are often our harshest critics, judging ourselves for every mistake or imperfection. But when we practice mindfulness, we begin to see ourselves with compassion. We accept ourselves as we are, without the need to be perfect. We understand that just like everyone else, we are a work in progress. Over time, mindfulness allows us to live with greater gratitude. When we stop rushing through life and begin to pay attention to the present, we realize just how much there is to be grateful for. The small things, the warmth of the sun, the sound of a loved one's voice, the taste of your favorite food, become sources of joy. Mindfulness is a path to freedom. By becoming aware of our thoughts, emotions, and sensations, we free ourselves from the limitations of our mind. We let go of our attachments, our fears, and our desires, and in doing so, we experience a deep sense of peace. As you continue to practice mindfulness, you will notice that your relationship with the world around you changes. You become more present with others, more compassionate, and more connected. You no longer feel the need to escape from the world because you are fully immersed in it. Mindfulness opens your heart to the beauty of life. It allows you to see things with fresh eyes, to experience the world as it truly is, without the filters of judgment or expectation. In the present moment, there is no past to regret or future to fear. There is only now, and it is enough. In the end, mindfulness is the key to living a life of presence, peace, and clarity. It allows us to fully experience the richness of each moment, to connect with ourselves and others on a deeper level, and to live in harmony with the flow of life. The more you practice, the more you will see how transformative it is. So, take a deep breath, return to the now, and let mindfulness be your guide. In the simplicity of the present moment, you will find the peace you've been searching for. The art of letting go, non-attachment in practice. In life, we often hold on to things, people, memories, possessions, and even ideas. These attachments seem to give us a sense of comfort and security. We believe that by holding tightly, we are controlling our life, ensuring that things will stay the way we want them to. But in reality, the more tightly we grip, the more we create suffering for ourselves. Attachment is like a heavy burden we carry with us, even when we don't realize it. Imagine walking through life with a backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents something you are holding on to, a past hurt, an unmet expectation, or a fear about the future. The more rocks you add, the harder it becomes to walk freely and joyfully. The weight slows you down, clouds your mind, and exhausts your spirit. Non-attachment, as taught in Buddhism, doesn't mean that we stop caring about people or things. It doesn't mean we become indifferent or cold. On the contrary, it's about being able to experience life fully without clinging to it. It's about enjoying the beauty of a flower without needing to possess it. It's about loving others without expecting them to always meet our needs or desires. Letting go is not easy. We have been conditioned by society and our own minds to believe that we need to hold on to things in order to feel safe, to feel in control. But this false sense of security only keeps us trapped in a cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. Buddhism teaches us that true freedom comes when we learn to let go of these attachments. When we let go, we create space for the present moment to unfold. We no longer need to carry the weight of past regrets or future worries. We become like the river, flowing freely and effortlessly, adapting to the shape of the landscape without resistance. The river doesn't hold on to the water it has passed. It moves forward, always in the moment, always flowing. Non-attachment is a practice. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a gentle process of learning to release, little by little, the things we think we need. One of the most profound ways to begin this practice is through mindfulness. When we become aware of our thoughts, we can see how often we cling to things that no longer serve us. We can observe the thoughts that arise and let them pass, without getting caught up in them. Consider the example of a leaf floating on a pond. The leaf doesn't cling to the water, nor does it try to control the direction it's floating. It simply floats with the current, accepting the movement without resistance. In the same way, we can learn to move through life, accepting what comes our way and letting go of what no longer serves us. Letting go also means accepting that everything is temporary. Nothing in life lasts forever. Not our possessions, not our relationships, not even our own lives. When we come to terms with this impermanence, we can stop trying to hold on to things that are destined to change. The beauty of life lies in its fleeting nature. It is only because something is temporary that it is precious. Non-attachment also frees us from the need for approval or validation from others. So much of our suffering comes from trying to meet the expectations of others, trying to live up to their standards, or seeking their approval. When we let go of this attachment, we are free to be ourselves. We can make decisions based on what feels right for us, without worrying about how others will perceive us. This doesn't mean we become selfish or disregard others. Rather, it means we are not dependent on others for our sense of worth or happiness. We come from a place of inner strength, knowing that we are enough just as we are. This is a profound shift in perspective, one that allows us to live more authentically and peacefully. Another aspect of non-attachment is letting go of expectations. We often hold on to certain expectations about how things should be, how our relationships should turn out, how our careers should unfold, or how our lives should look. When things don't go as we expect, we feel disappointed, frustrated, or angry. But if we learn to let go of these rigid expectations and allow life to unfold naturally, we find peace in accepting whatever happens. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. You don't expect the plant to grow immediately or in a specific way. You water it, nurture it, and trust that it will grow in its own time. If you keep checking on it and trying to force it to grow faster, you will only harm it. In the same way, when we let go of expectations, We allow the natural flow of life to bring us what we need. Letting go also involves forgiveness, both of ourselves and others. Holding on to grudges or feelings of resentment only weighs us down. It keeps us tied to the past and prevents us from moving forward. Forgiveness, on the other hand, frees us. It doesn't mean we condone the wrongs done to us, but it means we release the hold that those wrongs have on our hearts. Forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves. It's not about excusing the behavior of others, but about freeing ourselves from the anger and hurt that hold us in the past. When we forgive, we let go of the power that the past has over us, and we open ourselves to healing and growth. The practice of non-attachment also helps us deal with loss. Whether it's the loss of a loved one, a job, or a dream, we all face moments of grief and sadness. But when we understand the impermanent nature of life, we can face loss with more acceptance and peace. We know that everything we love is temporary, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. In fact, it makes it more precious, because we understand that we must cherish it while it lasts. Non-attachment doesn't mean we stop caring, or that we become indifferent to the world around us. On the contrary, it's a way of caring more deeply, without the need for possession or control. It's about being fully present in each moment, appreciating what we have without clinging to it. It's about finding freedom in the midst of life's challenges, knowing that we can let go and trust in the flow of life. When we practice non-attachment, we begin to experience life more fully. We are no longer weighed down by the past or the future. We can embrace the beauty of each moment, just as it is. We learn to live with an open heart, free from the fear of losing what we have or not getting what we want. So, how do we start practicing non-attachment? Begin by observing the things you are attached to. What are you holding on to? Is it a person, an object, a goal, or a feeling? Notice how these attachments influence your thoughts and actions. When you feel yourself gripping tightly, take a moment to pause and breathe. Gently remind yourself that you don't need to hold on. Allow the attachment to loosen and see what happens. With time, you will begin to notice that letting go brings a sense of peace and freedom. You will feel lighter, more present, and more open to life's experiences. You will learn to accept the flow of life, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. Non-attachment is not about rejecting life, but about embracing it with open hands, ready to receive whatever comes our way. It is about living with a deep sense of trust, knowing that we are enough, just as we are, in this moment. And when we let go, we discover that we are free. Free to love, to live, and to be ourselves, without fear or hesitation. This is the art of letting go. This is the power of non-attachment. And when we practice it, we open ourselves to a life filled with peace, joy, and true freedom, savoring the simple moments. The mind, ever restless, constantly seeks more. It wants the big, the grand, the extraordinary. It chases after accomplishments, possessions, and recognition, always moving forward, never stopping. But in this relentless pursuit, it overlooks the quiet beauty of life's simplest moments. Take a moment right now, just to pause and notice. What is around you? Perhaps it's the sound of birds outside your window, the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, or the softness of the air you breathe. These small things, the ones we often take for granted, are where true peace lies. They are the moments that bring us back to the present. Buddhism teaches us that happiness does not always come from the grand events or the things we acquire. True joy can be found in the simplest of moments. When we become aware of these small things, we begin to savor life, not in the distant future or the past, but right now, in the present. Think about a warm cup of tea. How often do we sip it without thinking, distracted by a task, a phone call, or a worry about tomorrow? But when we pause and truly focus on the tea, the warmth of the cup in our hands, the steam rising, the aroma filling our senses, it becomes a moment of peace. It is no longer just tea. It becomes an experience. In that simple act, we are fully present. The act of savoring is an art. It is not about waiting for something bigger or more exciting to come along. It is about appreciating what is in front of you right now. The sound of your breath, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the taste of your food, the feel of the earth beneath your feet. These simple moments are the building blocks of a contented life. In the hustle of everyday life, it's easy to get lost. We rush from task to task, from place to place, always thinking of what comes next. But when we practice mindfulness, we slow down. We learn to appreciate the beauty of what we have in the moment. We stop running and start being. When you are present, everything becomes more vivid. A walk in the park becomes a journey of discovery. You notice the leaves rustling in the wind, the birds singing in the trees, the way the sun casts shadows on the ground. Each detail, once overlooked, now becomes a source of wonder. This is the power of presence. The simple moments we often ignore are the ones that fill our hearts with joy. They are the moments that bring peace, calm, and connection. And when we learn to savor them, we begin to experience life more fully. This doesn't mean we should reject ambition or future goals. It simply means we learn to live fully in the present while working towards the future. It's about balance. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to the future can bring suffering, just as attachment to the past can hold us back. But when we embrace the now, we are free. One way to practice savoring the present is through gratitude. When we are grateful for the simple things in life, we begin to see them with new eyes. A cup of tea becomes a blessing, a conversation with a friend becomes a gift, a moment of quiet becomes a treasure. Gratitude opens our hearts and allows us to appreciate what is here, right now. Take a moment to think of something simple you are grateful for. It could be the comfort of your home, the kindness of a stranger, or even the fact that you have this moment to breathe. When we focus on what we have, we realize that we have everything we need to be content. Savoring the moment also means letting go of the need to control or manipulate every experience. When we release our expectations, we open ourselves to the fullness of life as it is. Life is not something to be managed or planned perfectly. It is something to be experienced, felt, and appreciated. This doesn't mean we stop making plans or working towards our goals. It means we stop obsessing over the future and allow ourselves to be fully engaged with the present. The more we embrace the now, the more we discover that life is richer and more meaningful than we ever imagined. The beauty of the present is that it is always available to us. We don't have to wait for a special moment to appreciate life. Every moment is a gift, a chance to experience the wonder of existence. By savoring the present, we open ourselves to joy, peace, and fulfillment. In Buddhism, the idea of impermanence teaches us that nothing lasts forever. The moments we experience today will not be here tomorrow. They are fleeting, like the bloom of a flower or the passing of a cloud. This makes the present all the more precious. Each moment is unique, never to be repeated. And when we learn to savor it, we find peace in the fleeting nature of life. But savoring the present is not just about enjoying pleasant moments. It's about being fully present in all moments, even those that are uncomfortable or difficult. Pain, sorrow, and challenge are all part of life. When we meet these moments with awareness and acceptance, we can transform them into opportunities for growth. The present moment, no matter what it brings, is the key to liberation. So, how can you begin to savor the simple moments in your life? Start small. Pay attention to what's around you. Notice the sounds, the sights, the sensations. Let go of distractions. When you eat, really taste your food. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet. When you speak to someone, truly listen to them. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to live fully in the present. And as you do, you'll discover that life is far richer than you ever realized. The small moments, the simple acts, will become the source of your happiness. Savoring the present is not about escaping life's challenges or seeking constant pleasure. It is about engaging with life as it is, with all its beauty and imperfections. It is about finding peace and contentment in the here and now. And when you do, you will find that the simple moments are the most powerful of all. In the end, the greatest gift we can give ourselves is the ability to live fully in the present. The past is gone, the future is unknown, but the present, this very moment, is where life happens. So take a deep breath, slow down, and savor the life you are living right now. The role of gratitude in living fully. Gratitude is a simple but powerful practice. It doesn't require grand gestures, expensive gifts, or elaborate rituals. Gratitude is about noticing the small, everyday blessings that surround us, even when life feels challenging. It is about acknowledging the goodness that exists right now, in this moment, and realizing that, despite the struggles we face, there is always something to be grateful for. In the teachings of Buddhism, gratitude is seen as a gateway to contentment. When we focus on what we already have, we shift our mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. We stop chasing after things that we believe will bring us happiness in the future, and instead, we find peace in the present by appreciating what is already here. Imagine waking up in the morning. The sun may not be shining brightly, and there may be a chill in the air, but what do you notice? Do you focus on what's wrong, or on the simple fact that you woke up today? That you have breath in your lungs and the ability to see, hear, and move? These are the gifts of life, the things we often overlook because we're too focused on what we don't have. When we learn to practice gratitude, we begin to shift our perspective. We stop taking things for granted. Each meal becomes a blessing. Each conversation becomes an opportunity for connection. Even the most ordinary things, like the sound of the rain or the warmth of a blanket, become sources of deep appreciation. But true gratitude goes beyond simply acknowledging what we have. It also involves recognizing the beauty of impermanence. In Buddhism, we understand that everything in life is temporary. The seasons change, people come and go, and situations shift constantly. Instead of feeling sorrow over the passing of time, we are encouraged to embrace it with gratitude. Every moment, no matter how fleeting, holds value. The things we experience are precious because they are not forever. This awareness helps us appreciate the present even more deeply. There's also a deeper layer to gratitude. It's not just about being thankful for the things that bring us joy or comfort. It's about being grateful for the lessons that come from our struggles. When things don't go as planned, it's easy to feel frustrated or defeated. But what if we could change our perspective and see these challenges as opportunities for growth? What if, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we asked, "What can I learn from this?" In this way, even difficult experiences can be viewed through the lens of gratitude. Buddhism teaches that suffering is an inevitable part of life, but that does not mean we must suffer endlessly. Through gratitude, we can transform our suffering into a source of wisdom. We can be thankful for the lessons it brings us, for the strength it cultivates, and for the compassion it inspires in us. Gratitude helps us to let go of our attachments to outcomes and accept life as it is, in all its complexity and unpredictability. In the present moment, gratitude becomes an antidote to the mind's tendency to wander into the past or the future. When we are truly present, we are aware of the simple gifts around us. The smell of the earth after rain, the sound of birds chirping, the feeling of our feet on the ground. These small details, when noticed, have the power to shift our focus away from worries and anxieties. We no longer feel the need to chase after more, because we have learned to recognize the richness of what is already here. One way to practice gratitude is through the daily habit of reflection. Each night, before bed, take a moment to pause and think about 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be big things. Sometimes the smallest moments are the most meaningful. Perhaps it's the smile of a stranger, the kindness of a friend, or even the fact that you had a moment of peace during a busy day. No matter how small, these moments of gratitude build a sense of abundance within us. It's important to remember that gratitude is not about ignoring the challenges or hardships of life. It's about accepting them with a sense of openness and grace. Even in difficult times, there is always something to appreciate. Perhaps it's the support of loved ones, the strength you've discovered within yourself, or the simple fact that you are still here, still breathing. Gratitude helps us stay grounded in the present, even when life feels overwhelming. When we practice gratitude, we begin to notice how it shifts our relationships. We become more compassionate, more understanding, and more willing to forgive. We learn to appreciate others for who they are, rather than focusing on their flaws or mistakes. Gratitude helps us to see the humanity in everyone we meet, and it opens our hearts to kindness and empathy. The Buddhist teachings emphasize the importance of living a life of mindfulness and gratitude. Through mindfulness, we are able to fully experience the present moment without being clouded by the past or future. Gratitude deepens this mindfulness by encouraging us to notice the gifts of each moment. By practicing both, we can cultivate a deep sense of peace and contentment that is not dependent on external circumstances. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of wanting more. More success, more recognition, more possessions. Society often tells us that happiness lies in what we don't yet have. But the truth is, happiness lies in recognizing the richness of what we already possess. The present moment is filled with infinite blessings, and gratitude allows us to see them. It helps us to stop striving for something better and to find peace in what is. As we cultivate gratitude, we also begin to develop a deeper sense of connection to the world around us. We see that we are not separate from others, but part of a greater whole. Our actions, words, and thoughts all have an impact on the world, and when we act from a place of gratitude, we contribute to the collective well-being of all. Gratitude helps us to move beyond our self-centered desires and to live with a sense of purpose and compassion. Living with gratitude also invites us to let go of judgment. It's easy to become critical of ourselves and others, but gratitude helps us to soften our hearts. Instead of focusing on what is lacking, we begin to see the goodness in ourselves and others. We learn to appreciate the unique qualities that make each person special, and we stop comparing ourselves to others in a way that fosters jealousy or resentment. The power of gratitude is not just in the feeling it creates, but in the actions it inspires. When we are grateful, we naturally want to give back. We want to share our blessings with others, whether through acts of kindness, offering support, or simply expressing our appreciation. Gratitude transforms us into more giving, loving, and compassionate individuals. In Buddhism, the concept of interdependence reminds us that everything in life is connected. When we practice gratitude, we honor this interconnectedness. We recognize that everything we have is a result of countless causes and conditions, and we feel a deep sense of reverence for all that has come together to bring us to this point in our lives. Ultimately, gratitude is a practice that brings us back to the present moment. It anchors us in the now, where life truly unfolds. When we are grateful, we are no longer trapped in thoughts of the past or future. We are fully immersed in the beauty and wonder of the present moment. This is the gift of gratitude. It opens our eyes to the richness of life as it is. So, let us begin today. Let us start by noticing the small things: the warmth of the sun on our face, the sound of a child's laughter, the taste of our food. Let us take a moment to pause and give thanks for the many blessings we often overlook. In doing so, we will discover that the present moment, when filled with gratitude, is more than enough. Silencing the restless mind. The mind is like a monkey, restless, jumping from thought to thought, never still. It can be difficult to quiet this restless mind. Yet doing so is the key to living peacefully in the present moment. How many times have you sat down to meditate, only to find that your thoughts are racing? It's like trying to sit still while a storm rages around you. But what if the storm could calm? What if you could find peace amidst the chaos? In Buddhism, we learn that the mind is like a calm lake, and our thoughts are like ripples on its surface. When we are calm, the lake is clear. But when we are troubled, the ripples distort our view. The key is not to fight the thoughts or force them away, but to simply observe them and let them pass. Just as a wave naturally fades away, so do thoughts. By practicing this awareness, we can begin to see the mind for what it is: just a collection of passing thoughts, not our true self. The first step to silencing the restless mind is to recognize that we are not our thoughts. The mind is not a permanent part of us. It is a tool, like a broom that sweeps the floor. The broom does not define the house. It is merely used to clean. Similarly, your thoughts are not you. They are just temporary visitors passing through. The more you identify with your thoughts, the more they control you. But when you step back and realize you are not your thoughts, you begin to reclaim your peace. One simple way to quiet the mind is through mindful breathing. Focus on your breath, feeling the cool air as it enters your body and the warm air as it leaves. With each inhale and exhale, gently bring your attention back to the present moment. When thoughts arise, don't push them away. Instead, acknowledge them, then return your focus to your breath. Think of the thoughts like clouds drifting by in the sky. They come and go, but the sky remains unchanged. You are the sky, vast, open, and unaffected by the passing clouds. In Buddhism, This practice of mindfulness is called shamatha, which means calm abiding. It is the practice of training the mind to be still, of cultivating a space of peace within. When we practice shamatha, we stop chasing after thoughts, ideas, and worries. We learn to simply be with what is. And in that being, we find the space to experience life fully, without distraction. At first, the mind may resist. It may seem impossible to sit still, to quiet the thoughts. But just as a river can be dammed, so too can the restless mind. The more you practice, the more you train your mind to return to stillness. Slowly, the ripples begin to settle, and the lake of your mind becomes calm. Another powerful way to silence the mind is through meditation. Meditation is not about forcing the mind to be still. It is about allowing it to be still. It's about stepping back and observing your thoughts without attachment. Just as a bird watches the sky without touching it, you watch your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. When you meditate, don't judge your thoughts. Don't try to control them. Simply observe them as they arise and let them go, like leaves floating on a stream. With practice, the restless mind begins to quiet. And as the mind quiets, your ability to live in the present moment increases. You stop being lost in the past, trapped in regrets and guilt. You stop being anxious about the future, consumed by worry and fear. Instead, you find yourself here, in this moment, fully alive, fully present. The key to silencing the mind is patience. The mind has been restless for years, and it will not change overnight. But with consistent practice, over time, the stillness will grow. It's like planting a seed. At first, you see nothing, but with care and attention, it slowly begins to sprout, then grow, and eventually bloom into something beautiful. Your mind is no different. Give it time, give it space, and it will become still. Silencing the restless mind also means letting go of attachments. We often think that our thoughts define us, that our worries and fears are part of who we are. But the truth is, they are just passing clouds. When we let go of our attachments to them, we free ourselves. Buddhism teaches us that attachment is the root of suffering. The more we cling to things, whether thoughts, possessions, or people, the more we suffer. But when we let go, we create space for peace, for freedom. It's also important to remember that silencing the mind does not mean forcing it into silence. It means allowing the mind to naturally quiet itself. Just as the body needs rest, the mind also needs rest. And when the mind is at rest, we can experience the world as it is, without distortion, without interference. We can see things clearly, as they truly are. Think about a time when you were completely absorbed in an activity. Maybe you were listening to music, painting a picture, or just walking in nature. In those moments, the mind is quiet. It is fully present, and you are at peace. This is what it means to silence the restless mind. It is not about chasing after stillness, but about allowing stillness to emerge naturally. It is about returning to the simplicity of being. As you continue to practice silencing the mind, you will begin to notice subtle changes in your life. You will find yourself less reactive, less caught up in the turbulence of your thoughts. You will experience moments of stillness even in the midst of chaos. And slowly, you will begin to see the beauty of life as it is, without the distractions of the restless mind. The journey to a still mind is not a quick one, but it is a rewarding one. Every moment of practice, every breath of awareness, brings you closer to a life of peace. The more you cultivate stillness in the mind, the more you will experience the peace that lies at the heart of every moment. This is the power of living in the present, the power of a quiet mind. Embracing the eternal now, a life transformed. We have traveled together, exploring the simple yet profound power of living in the present. We've learned how to release the grip of the past, quiet the noise of the future, and return to the beauty of the present moment. And now, in this final part, we are going to embrace the essence of what it truly means to live in the now, without regret, without fear, but with a deep sense of peace and joy. Think about the times when your mind races with thoughts, when you feel like you're constantly running from one task to another, trying to keep up with life. Does it ever feel like you're chasing something, but you're never quite catching it? The past haunts you with what you could have done differently, and the future nags at you with what might go wrong. But in this very moment, As you sit here, breathing, aware, you are already enough. This moment, right now, is your opportunity to transform. We often hear people say, life is short, but life is not short. We are simply not present enough to experience it fully. When you step into the now, life opens up. It becomes vivid, rich, and full of meaning. The simple things that once felt mundane now glow with a new light. The sound of your breath, the warmth of sunlight on your skin, the taste of food. All of these things become profound when we are fully present. In the teachings of Buddhism, it is said that the present moment is a doorway to freedom. Why? Because when we are present, we are no longer chained by the past or the future. We release the hold that those moments have over us, and we become free. Free from worry, free from regret, free to simply be. The key to embracing the present is acceptance. Acceptance of yourself, acceptance of your life as it is. This doesn't mean you stop growing or improving, but it means you stop fighting against what is. You stop wishing for things to be different and start appreciating them exactly as they are. Many people live in a constant state of tension, always striving for something more, never truly satisfied. They are always reaching for the next goal, the next achievement, the next thing that will bring them happiness. But in doing so, they miss the truth that happiness isn't found in the future, it is found in the now. When we stop and simply breathe, when we notice the small miracles around us, we begin to realize that this moment is all we need to be happy. Imagine walking through your day with a heart full of gratitude. Each step, each action, becomes a moment to appreciate life as it is. You don't need to be somewhere else, you don't need to be doing something more. You simply need to be where you are. In that simple act of being, you become connected to everything around you. You are no longer separate from the world. You are part of it, and it is part of you. In Buddhism, there is a practice called mindfulness. This is the art of paying full attention to the present moment, of being awake to life as it unfolds. It is said that when you practice mindfulness, you no longer walk through life on autopilot. You no longer miss the beauty of the moment because your mind is elsewhere. Instead, you see things as they are, clear, vibrant, alive. Now, as we approach the end of this journey, let us remember that living in the present is not something we achieve once and for all. It is a practice, a constant return to the now. It is easy to slip back into old habits of dwelling on the past or fearing the future. But every time you bring your attention back to the present, you are building a new way of living, a way that is rooted in peace, clarity, and joy. Living in the present does not mean we ignore our responsibilities or stop planning for the future. It simply means we give ourselves permission to be fully engaged with life as it is right now. When we do this, we find that we are more effective, more compassionate, and more connected to others. Our relationships improve because we are present with those we love. Our work becomes more focused and meaningful because we are giving it our full attention. But here is the most important part. Living in the present frees you from the suffering of endless striving. It is said in Buddhist teachings that suffering arises when we resist what is. When we fight against the present moment, we create a mental struggle that only leads to frustration. But when we stop resisting, when we embrace the moment as it is, suffering begins to fade away. This is where true freedom lies. It's not in getting everything you want or achieving all your goals, but in accepting the flow of life as it comes. When you do this, you no longer have to chase happiness because it is already here. You don't need to seek peace because it is already within you. As you continue your journey beyond this video, I invite you to take a deep breath and remember this truth. The present moment is the only moment that matters. The past is gone, and the future is yet to come. All you have is now. And so, each time you feel your mind drifting away, gently bring it back to the present. When you find yourself caught up in worry or regret, remember that you are only here, in this moment, and that is enough. Life is happening right now, and you are part of it. In Buddhism, it is said that when we live fully in the present, we align ourselves with the natural flow of the universe. We stop resisting life, and instead, we dance with it. We become like a leaf carried by the wind, moving freely, effortlessly. There is no struggle, only flow. And as we close this journey, let us remember that the present moment is always available to us. It is never lost, and it is never out of reach. All we need to do is stop, breathe, and be. In that simple act of being, we find peace. We find joy. We find freedom. So, as you go forward in your life, remember this. The power of living in the present is the key to unlocking a life of peace, happiness, and fulfillment. It is the key to embracing the now, to finding beauty in every moment, and to living with a heart full of gratitude. Thank you for being a part of this journey with Wisdom Woven. Remember, the present is your gift. Live it fully. Live it with awareness. Live it with joy. And above all, live it with love.